Today on Tricro Studios, we're going to put on the douchebag sunglasses and we're going to look at my guitar collection for 2020. Yeah, that's right. I got a lot of guitars. But I tell you right now, a lot of them were cheap. I used to have a giant Gibson collection. Maybe I'll throw in a picture here. And then I had a large Paul Reed Smith collection. And they were only cores because, damn it, I would only mess around with the Paul Reed Smith cores. Yeah! And then what ended up happening is I got a really good Gibson Les Paul traditional, and that kind of made me go, oh, okay, don't worry about the cores so much, and just get guitars that you like and that inspire you. So I know a lot of the guitars here are cheap. Some of them were like $800 to $1,000, and I bought them used for like $160 to $280. It's just a good idea, because sometimes you just feel like, yeah, I need a new guitar for this weekend. And yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of guitars, so I'm going to do this probably fairly quick. Quick interruption here, hold your horses. Before I go, because I'm from the future. So basically what's going on here is I talked a hell of a lot about each guitar. So if you want to know about each guitar, like it's not like 5 minutes per guitar, it's probably like 30 seconds to a minute per guitar or something like that. But if you just want to know what guitars I have, here we go, Micro Machines style. LTD DV8R, LTD V401 FM, Jackson Pro Series King V, Dean United Abominations, Jackson KVX10, Jackson JS32 King V, LTD EX400, Aria ZZ Explorer, Hamer XT Standard, Jackson KEXQ, Jackson Kelly Pilot Skulls, Cort VX-4V, Jackson RRX-24-7T, Jackson RR3, Jackson RRX-22T, Jackson RRX-24T, Fender American Standard Telecaster, Fender American Standard Stratocaster 60th Anniversary, Gibson Les Paul Traditional 120th Anniversary, Gibson Les Paul Custom Showcase Edition, Gibson Flying V Japan, Gibson Flying VT, Paul Reed Smith Custom 22 Brazilian, Jackson Monarkh SCX, Ibanez Xiphos XPT 700, Bisa Rich Bich Masterpiece, Ibanez RG 350EX, Jackson Slat 7, Jackson Slat 7 but green, Ibanez RG 7321, Ibanez Hold On RG IX 28FEQM, that's ridiculous, Martin D35, Gibson Northern Jumbo. I also have a bass but I just don't show it. Starting off in no particular order, these are hanging on the walls, so you're going to see King V's first, and then I'm going to go to the rack. So we have the LTD Dave Mustaine DV8R. This is a little different because I've added the Dave Mustaine thrash factor in here, and then I put some switches, and just to, so you can go from humbucker to single coil on here, and let's go to another guitar. Next up, I believe just because Dave Mustaine left ESP LTD, we have the LTD V401 FM. This is completely stock. It's not going to stay that way. I have a gold, what do they call it, a plate. And then I'm going to throw some bone breakers in here and move these over to another guitar. And then I'm going to change everything over to gold hardware. And then I'm going to put some gold Spurzels in here. Then we have a Jackson Pro Series King V. This is an 81 and an 89 and it has a push-pull in here, which is great, but it only works on the neck, obviously. I think it's only on the neck. Yeah, it's only on the neck. And then my favorite part is this is an actual Floyd Rose original. It's not a Floyd Rose special. Don't get those. Next up, we have a work in progress guitar. This should just be a novelty guitar. But I have a DiMarzio, oh no, I want to say Super Distortion, but that's not it. And then a Path Pro. And then I've got a Tone Pros bridge in here. And Spurzl locking tuners. So I'm going to try and turn it into something else, into something usable, but again, it's a Chinese-made guitar. Then we have the Jackson KVX-10. Now, I've added a gold plate, just like I'm going to do to the V401F. Got the gold knobs and such. This has the Duncan designed pickups in it. I do have the DiMarzio Dominion that's going to be going in here. I've yet to get the neck pickup, but I will be doing that soon. And as well, I've installed some Spurzels. This guitar is awesome. The only problem with it is the input jack is on the bottom, so it forced me to change the cables that I use because this rests on my leg, and really I don't want to bust the cable or bust the input jack. Next up we have a guitar that I said I probably would never ever buy, which is a Jackson King V JS32. The JS series are very cheap. Some of them are made in China. This one, thankfully, was made in India, which I don't know if India and Indonesia just turned into the same thing. I'm not quite sure. Sorry if that's not the case. But it has a bolt-on neck that is finished, and it's actually quite comfortable. But it's also a work in progress. Which I have a gold Goto 1996 that replaced the Jackson Floyd that was in here. The Jackson Floyds are usually pretty good. This one was not. Not quite sure why. I've also changed the knobs to white, which is a very small difference. And then I have Seymour Duncan Invaders in here, which, because this is a very cheap guitar, the bridge alone, the trem system was more than the guitar's worth, and the pickups are more than the guitar's really worth. But it looks cool, and it is actually quite comfortable. I just need to get to soldering, but I don't really have time to do soldering. Next up, we have the LTD EX400, not the 401. Don't know what the difference is, but this has Tone Pro's bridge and the tailpiece as well, which they're both walking. Yeah, we're good. And then I installed very poorly the EMG TKO kill switch. Basically, when I was drilling into the body, my drill kind of sucks, so it snagged and it took a chunk of the finish out. So I got this black thing around it, and it looks very crappy. I also have the EMG headset in here, and these aren't Spurzels. These are the Goto locking tuners, which are very similar. They lock the string in, very similar to Spurzels. Next up, we have the Aria ZZ Explorer type guitar. This I bought, obviously used. It has a chunk out right here, and it has a glossed finished neck that is a bolt-on. This is an extremely comfortable guitar to play, and the pickups that are in it are actually fairly good. I am going, I keep saying I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I'm going to throw one of the Goto 1996 trem systems in here, because I do have 3 extras that I can put somewhere. And I'm thinking of putting the Seymour Duncan blackouts in this that I have as well. But there's always a possibility of me picking up a different guitar that I would put them in. That might be a little easier, that I could put into different tunings without using a screwdriver. So who knows? Next up, we have the Hammer XT Standard. This is made in China. Why? It also had a shielding issue and a grounding issue. The original pickups that were in it were actually a Seymour Duncan JB and 59, but they squealed like crazy if you watch the video that I made on this guitar. So I put EMG, this is an 81 and 60, and then I properly put in a TKO kill switch, but I haven't actually finished things on this guitar as of yet. Also, I have a Tone Pros locking bridge and Tone Pros tailpiece, or stop bar or what have you, and then Spurzl locking tuning heads. Next up we have the Jackson KEXQ. So it's a quilted maple, even though this is a very different quilt. It's not very quilty, but I really like it. I really dig it. I put EMG bone breakers in here, and then I put the momentary kill switch from EMG. And obviously this also, but it also has the EMG toggle switch. I like having things completely solderless with EMG, so you know, you pay a little bit of extra money and then you get a monitor turning off. But then you actually don't have to solder, and soldering takes a lot of time for me, and I always second guess myself when I do it. So I like to not solder. Then we have the reason why I don't use this guitar very much. This is an awesome guitar, absolutely phenomenal guitar. The way that they make this, even though it's Indonesian, this is absolutely awesome. I would pick this over a Gibson Explorer any day of the week. The problem is I can't use it that well because it has a Floyd Rose Special. So, Floyd Rose Special. This you can't tighten because of the way that it's made. The screw is stripped or something, and it doesn't hold strings in. You'll see string, wonderful. So I got 4 strings on this absolutely amazingly made guitar from Jackson. I love Jackson stuff, but I can't use it because it has a Floyd Rose Special, and I haven't had the time to change everything over to the Goto 1996. But I do have a Goto 1996 for this. I just have to make up my mind which color I'm putting in here. I kind of want to have gold, but then I have to change the tuners and all that stuff, and it doesn't really make that much of a difference when it's a Floyd Rose type guitar. Next up we have yet another Jackson Kelly. So we have the Jackson Kelly, this is a KE3 or KE2? I don't know, but it's the Pile of Skulls, and the owner before had sanded it down a little, like a light sanding to take the gloss off, and then he painted it black. Oh, painted it black! So what I did is I actually took all of the paint off, painstakingly, not all of it because some of it's still on the side, and kind of restored it a little. And then I got the EMG Marty Friedman set, put that in, and then added a tone knob, because I don't even know I don't use it that much. I wanted a tone knob in this sumbitch. And then I EMG solderless toggle switch. I have a gold Goto for this, but this is one of the Jackson Floyds that are just absolutely ridiculous. This thing stays in tune like you would not believe. So it's one of those, if it's not broke, why fix it? So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but this is a fully, happily functional guitar that, because of the paint that's on it and the fact that my shirts usually cost more than the guitars that I play with the cheaper guitars, I don't like playing it because I don't want to sweat and then like ruin an Armani sweater. Next up, we have the Cort VX-4V. Ooh. Basically, I bought this because I was feeling nostalgic. I used to own, my first real guitar was an Ibanez PR1660, which is an Ibanez Rhodes Style V. Obviously, it's a smaller style body because this is very wide. And that thing was absolutely wonderful. Kevin ended up buying it. I sold it, and it was sold to someone else, and then Kevin ended up buying it, and he sold it too, and we both missed that guitar, and you can't find that guitar, and when you do, it's overpriced and broken. So I was feeling nostalgic. Basically the same color, so I got this. It's got EMG HZs in it, and a somewhat decent Cort Floyd, but this will eventually have upgrades on it. I'm just not sure which upgrades yet. Next up, we have the, I don't remember the model, Jackson RRX-4V. I don't remember. This is a 7-string Randy Rhoads style guitar. Now, there's been like 2 or 3 comments where people are like, that's not a Randy Rhoads style guitar, that's a King V. You should know what guitars you own, you stupid idiot. I agree, I guess, with the stupid idiot, but man, it's a black guitar, and when I edit, because I'm partially colorblind, it's usually darker than it should be. So this... Whoa, get out of the way. That's Rhodes style V. This has the Nazgul and the Sentient in here, and it also has the 7-string locking Spurzl tuners. Was that the only upgrades I did? Oh, and a locking Tone Pros 7-string bridge, which I was super excited when I saw that they had those. Next up, we have the Jackson RR3. This is the older Japanese-made bolt-on version, so it's not like the... Well, I think the newer ones are the RR5s, aren't they? And it also has Duncan Design detonators. I purchased DiMarzio Imperiums, and I'm going to keep everything kind of with the silver, nickel, whatever motif. I'm not sure if I'm going to throw a Goto in here, because this is one of the, again, another good Jackson-style Floyd, or Jackson whatever Floyd. And then, yeah, I'll probably put some push-pulls in here and see what we're doing. But I got this super cheap, came with a case. Obviously, there's some dings in it. And there was, you know those like label maker things? Someone put a label on here. I took it off, obviously, because I don't smoke anything, let alone weed. But it said marijuana machine. Next up, we have probably the cheapest, or the least amount that I've ever spent on a guitar. Basically, depending on where you live, if the guitar is signed, it decreases the value of the guitar. Don't say that to Kevin, though, because, again, it's a depending on where you live situation. But I live in Edmonton. If the guitar is signed, or something is signed, value goes down, because do you want to play it? Do you want to just hang it on the wall? What the hell's going on? But this is an a Jackson RRX-22T, I think. It's got some dings, and there's a finish crack on the bottom on the neck, and yeah, it's a finish crack and not like a stress crack or anything. And it's signed by Dave Mustaine and Kiku Laurier. I have nothing for this. I put Spurzls in it. I'm still trying to figure out which pickups I'm going to put in here. Yeah. Next up, we have the Jackson RRX-24T. Again, stock. I do have green Spurzls that I'm going to be installing, but I got to drill into the back of the headstock, which is not that big of a deal, but I don't really have a lot of time to do that. I'm very happy to say that this and the previous one actually came stock with Tone Pros, so I haven't really had to buy new Tone Pros for them. I have a set of DiMarzio Titans that I'm going to throw in here. And then I have green knobs, but they kind of look stupid, so I don't think I'm going to put them in. We'll see. Now we have a Fender American Standard Telecaster. Some people out there are like, wow, he's X amount of minutes in the video and now he's got a guitar that's actually worth a little bit of money. These were like $1,800. They don't really make them anymore because they changed to the American something else. But I love this guitar. It's absolutely wonderful. Even though Kevin will always say Fender's always got a tune, pull your strings, tug your strings, Kevin, tug them. He does that, but you know, he just. Well, I love it. The only thing that I've done to this guitar, very stupid, but the machine heads or the tuning heads on here, I put. Oh no, I changed the pick guard too, but that's really all I've done. I changed the tuning peg heads. Now we have the Fender American Standard Stratocaster. I again changed the pick guard and the tuning heads. This one is the 60th anniversary version of the Stratocaster. Oh, I changed the back plate as well. Stupid. This, I would say, is stanky, if that's a stanky, because it needs an adjustment, but not to me. The action is a little low on it, but usually when I'm playing this is when I'm feeling in a bluesy type mood, and my dear sweet baby James, it works out. I feel it. Scent. That last guitar was stanky. Now that it smells like coconuts in here, we have the guitar that actually turned me off of Paul Reed Smith's. Not really off, but this one has mojo, and some of the Paul Reed Smiths just mathematically perfect. But ain't no mojo in mathematics all the time. This is a Gibson Les Paul Traditional. Is a 2014 model. Before the debacle of 2015 and 2016. This one, I've had a lot of Gibsons in my life. And this one was made extremely well. This has mojo for days. Baseball friggin' neck, which Ryan loves him some baseball friggin' necks. And the only thing that I've done to this, oh, it's also 120th anniversary, if that matters to anybody. Here we go. Gibson Les Paul Custom. Yeah, you're probably going to be able to see that. Yeah. Showcase edition. So, she's a little heavy. Little bit of a thinner neck than the baseball. It's like medium. But this is fan-freaking-tastic. It came stock with EMG 8185, I think. 8185. That's when they were still wired like regular pickups. One of the previous owners installed a Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates and a Lolar, just, I don't know, neck pickup. And, yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely. The only things that I've done to this guitar, ooh, she's a little dusty. I installed a pick guard. So the pick guard was like, for the pick guard itself and the gold arming thing, was like $50. But I think it's worth it. It looks fan-freaking-tastic to me. And I bought the little indicator things. Which on the last guitar I was saying the only thing I've done, I actually did that to this. So the little things where, you know, you can stab your thumb really hard if you're an idiot. I haven't done that, but I am an idiot. But I put those on here because I kind of like it. Then we have the Gibson Flying V Japan. This is a custom shop model, but it's not a custom shop model. I will fight anybody who disagrees. Yes, I know if you've bought this, you can say, I have a custom shop. Basically what it was a limited run for the Flying Vs. This is, what year is this? 2015. Oh, debacle. But they didn't make Flying Vs. There was a year they didn't make them. So they, for the Japanese market, had a limited run of them. And when that's the case, they make the guitars in the custom shop. So that means the finish on here is a little different. it's not one of those, like, you know, if you're playing and stuff like that with the, unfortunately, Flying V's and Explorers, they tend to treat like entry-level guitars. So there's not a lot of lacquer on this, whereas the other ones is just like lacquer for days. And, you know, when you pull your hand down, you got gunk on your hand, the kind of thing. That doesn't do this. It's also a 70s type model. So you see, this is what a 70s headstock should look like. So the new the new Gibson 70s Classic or whatever they call it doesn't have the right headstock. This is a 70s headstock. So you'll see like it's a little, it's roundy. It also has a volute, which strengthens the headstock. Also feels pretty damn good. I like it, find it's comfortable. Also the body on it is very thin. It's got pickup covers, it's alright. And there's no like pickup rings or anything. And it's got the witch top knobs. I'm sure there's other things that they didn't really get right for the new classic 70s model. But it also has the Granalo or Granaldillo or whatever, which is a darker rosewood or something, even though it looks lighter than the regular rosewood. India rosewood. But it seems a little drier, which is not a big problem. Next up we have the Gibson Firebird T. It was just traditional. So this is not a studio. I owned a studio before. Those were treated really cheap. That had the lacquering issue on it. It seemed a little weird. This one is not that. So it's got the mini humbuckers. It's the neck through the body thing, so it's like, it's bumpy. 2 different levels, y'all. Basically, this is the whole neck, and they glue these 2 pieces on and put it together. It's also got the Steinberger tuners on it, which is really cool. But honestly, I haven't changed the strings on it, I don't think, because I'm a little scared. Very comfortable. The neck on it is like the multi-piece neck. This I would liken to in between an Explorer and a Les Paul, just for feel. Then we have the Paul Reed Smith Custom 22 Brazilian. I've had 3 or 4 people argue, yo, that ain't no Brazilian, that's made in the US of A, man, you stupid. Don't know what accent that is, I apologize. But yeah, this is obviously it's a core line, well, not really core line, but it's Paul Reed Smith artist package, so yeah, it's made in the US, of course. But at that point, it was the last one that had a Brazilian rosewood fretboard and Brazilian rosewood like top of the neck. The neck itself is a black back with a gloss neck. Paul Reed Smith, to me, the back of it has to be black. I don't know why. It has a little bit of a different feel to it. It's a little more shinier, I guess. This is the only way I can put it. It's a little smoother than the ones that have a transparent finish. I don't know. But the finish on this, because it's an artist package, is freaking ridiculous. And it's signed by Paul Reed Smith on the back and numbered. Very cool. Next up we have the Jackson Monarch. I know, after all the like Gibsons and the Paul Reed Smith and stuff like that, we have the like $600 or $700 Jackson Monarch that I threw $650 into, or $600 into. We've got a Gold Tone Pros. I got some switches in here. Put a pick guard on it, and as well I got the Seymour Duncan Black Winters. And I've got gold Spurzl tuners. Then we have the Ibanez Xiphos. This is the, oh man, I want to say XP800. XPT700. Ha! It's an Ibanez that has, ooh, need some noise there. But it's an Ibanez that has a set neck. Oh, fantastic. And it's a funky shape, and Kevin loves the color because it's like a chameleon type color. The Ibanez tremolo system on here. It's an Edge something, I don't know. But this stays in tune like nobody's business. It's ridiculous. And it has the DiMarzio, I don't know, in them. D somethings. Next up we have another guitar that's in a state of flux. We have the BC Rich Bich. This is the Masterpiece series, which if you look at the flame on this, you would think, whoa, that's super expensive, but it's a veneer. Honestly, I think it's just paper that they glue onto there, like thin, and then, you know what I mean? But I threw Seymour Duncan JB and 59 in here. And as well, it's got the Tone Pros locking bridge and Spurzl tuners. I haven't really done much, and I'm not really motivated to be like, hey, this is the next guitar that I'm going to upgrade or solder or what have you. It's in a state of flux. It's just, that's how I feel about this guitar. It's Korean made, but it feels Chinese. Next up we have the RG 350EX by Ibanez. This guitar I got super cheap and put bone breakers in it, which these bone breakers are going into the V401F, however, FM, and the 8181 are going to be going in this guitar. I also got an EMG TKO kill switch, but it was DOA, so it doesn't really work, which I'm not really motivated to change. They did send me a replacement, but I just put it in a different guitar. And then I have the dice knobs, because dice knobs. I got this really cool pick guard. I don't remember the company. I made a video on it. Storing guitars. And they really liked the fact that I made a video for them. And then they said, hey, we sent you out this for free. And it was like a pedal cover or something, but it never showed up. But the pick guard was like 70 bucks, and I still think well worth it. No other upgrades, and I haven't put the battery plate that I was going to install in here yet, but I will eventually. Then we have the Jackson Slat 7. Oh man, I don't even know. So it's basically the soloist archtop 7-string, which has a Floyd Rose special, but Goto doesn't make a 7-string Floyd Rose, so eventually I'll just get a Floyd Rose original 7-string and put it in here. But man, that's the worst thing about this guitar. Everything else is absolutely wonderful, very comfortable. I'd like to change the EMGs to something other than the 707s, because I have them in the other guitar. Otherwise, this guitar is phenomenal. Here we have the same guitar, but in green, and without the Floyd Rose special. This has, yet again, I think it came stock with it actually, Tone Pros bridge. And I haven't put Spurzls in here. I wanted to, but I'm having a hard time after being blamed for them having manufactured 2 tuning heads wrong and blaming me for that. I've had a hard time actually spending money with that company, but I'm sure I will eventually, and I'll put Spurzls in here. This is awesome, and people love it because it's green. And here we have, oh dear God, I'm probably going to not remember this at all, but an Ibanez RG. Oh God. No sweet clue. 7. It's an RG 7-string. This is like the lower one. Ooh, 7321 or 7421. This is the lower end model. It has Spurzls installed by Ryan. And then I made gold knobs. I made them, I put them in. And then I put Fishman Fluence. And I put a toggle switch in it. And then I got a hip shot bridge. It still feels cheap, but it sounds great. And then we have the Ibanez RG. Man, they need to freaking change the way that they name their guitars. Ooh, this one actually has it. Are you ready? Ibanez RG IX28FEQM. LMNOP. This is an 8-string iron label. I'm assuming it's a quilted veneer. It's got the Powa, I think. I can't remember, but it's got the body binding. I haven't changed anything on it. It's Ibanez 808s that are in here. Yeah. It's an 8-string. So if you're going from 7 to 8, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself, because this does not feel like a 7-string with one more string on it. This feels like a bass with a guitar attached, but it's still fun. Then we have, look, listen to this. I played something in this video. We have a Martin D35 acoustic. This is absolutely wonderful. Wouldn't do anything to it. I never even installed the friggin' strap button on this. The D35, you listen to Mr. Johnny Cash and tell me that you don't need a D35. Get a D28 too. Everyone else uses. That's what everyone uses, but damn it, Johnny freaking Cash. And then last, but not least, because I'm not going to show my bass. It's not even in the room. Shh, don't tell Jason. Bass is somewhat boring, but you could be good at it. But it's somewhat boring to me. We have the Gibson Northern Jumbo. So this is a limited edition Southern Jumbo or J45. I don't freaking know. But it says limited edition right on the back. It was only like, depending on what you look at, 62, 65, or 67 made. And basically the chain in Canada, Long and McQuaid, which really have put their kids through college. I have. But they custom ordered these and did a limited run, and it's custom shop. And it's signed by the dude who does the burst. Cool fact, don't know if it's still the case, but when I bought this, the guy was like, did you know that the guy that made this guitar, he was not from Alberta, but this is how in my head, this is how he sounds. Although he talks exactly like I do. But he's like, did you know that with this, every single Sunburst guitar that they made, you know, it was all done by the same fella. Same guy. And he signed your guitar there, That's really cool. But the guy probably doesn't sunburst the guitars anymore because Gibson changed quite a bit. Anyway, thanks for watching. Man, I'm sure I talked a hell of a lot. It's probably a lot more information that you really wanted to hear on the guitars. So, at the start of the video, even though I haven't shot it yet, I'm just going to very quickly do, hey, these are my guitars. Thanks for watching. Happy Leap Day!